I feel like that's one thing that got really hard for the stunt scene is everyone felt like if you don't have Bassani and you don't have Legend and you don't have Saddleman or Lucky Dave, like you're nobody. Mm-hmm. And it's like that doesn't mean shit. Those were just the companies that were down to work with us at the time. We've all helped blow them up. So you guys can find more companies and help blow them up. Like it's not super crazy difficult to get into the position I'm in. Like I'm not some freak of nature. I just got patient, found the companies that fucked with me. Like that's the shit that needs to happen if people really still want to see this Harley wheelie stuff go somewhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Get Vertical Real Talk Podcast. This is a Harley Stunt podcast where you get to meet some of your most favorite stunt riders and learn some tips and tricks on mental mindset that you need to level up your game in stunt riding. We also talk a lot about sponsorships and how to make money in the stunt scene. And today I had the pleasure to sit down with one of my good friends, Joey 55. He's probably your favorite stunt rider's favorite stunt rider. It was probably one of my favorite podcasts because I love talking about business and money as pertains to stunt riding. And he actually shares a ton of knowledge that you probably need to know. Because if you're an up-and-coming stunt rider and you have no clue how to make money off of it, or that it's even possible, then you definitely need to listen to this. I've known him for about 6 years now, and ever since I met him, he's just been on the grind to make money through stunt riding, and he just had the mindset that I wish I had. So I'm happy to introduce you guys to him because he really shed some serious knowledge on what he did to be the rider he is now and being a full-time pro stunt rider, making money doing this thing, and how he built his brand centers only around all the relationships he built within the stunt scene. We also get to the questions that you guys asked Joey55 on my Instagram. And if you want to know how to ask those questions and be featured on this podcast, I ask them on my Drea Stunts page and my Get Vertical page every Friday and Saturday for the guests that I happen to be interviewing that weekend. So make sure you keep an eye out for that if you want to ask a guest a question and be featured on this podcast. All right, guys. Super stoked for this podcast. Can't wait to get to editing it. I hope you guys enjoy meeting Joey55. I wanted to thank you for doing this interview with me because when I asked you initially, you responded with something that kind of caught my attention. And you said, of course, anything to help the stunt riding community because I owe all my success to it. So I wanted to ask you, what have you gotten from the stunt riding community that you consider success?
All of it. Like really my whole entire life's been built from the stunt community. You know, I had a really good job. I was really thankful for it, but it wasn't my passion. My passion has always been motorcycles. So it's the success that I've got to feel and reap from the stunt community is literally down to my house, my bikes, my cars, my trucks. Like it all is all funded from stunt riding. So there's pretty much nothing in my life that doesn't make me stoked out, that doesn't circle back to it, you know what I mean? And whether that was actually riding and making money from riding or just the relationships I've built that have made those things easier for me. Because now that, you know, as I'm sure you've seen with Bruce, now we're getting into drift cars and stuff. There's a lot of connections that we built from stunt riding that are also transferring over to that world too. But more than anything, it's just been the experience. You know, I've had really, really cool opportunities before stunt riding, amazing jobs, working with kids and just getting to really express how I feel about stuff, and always was given, you know, a lot of freedom to do whatever I wanted at my past jobs too. But now I can express that freedom through motorcycles. So that's like the number one thing that I'll always hold on to as far as success with stunt riding, is that if I have an idea and I believe in it enough, the stunt community and all those people have given me enough support that I can run with it. Like if I'm like, yo, this is fucking dope, like I want to make this happen, that's only possible because the stunt community supported me, and companies support me because the community supports me. So like I could go on and on and on about all this rad support I have, but without other people that are into it supporting me, I wouldn't have the company support, the funding, or any of it. You know what I mean?
Totally. Well, you mentioned relationships, and one thing that I've noticed about you is you're extremely good at building relationships within the stunt community and the companies that are a part of it. So I was wondering, do you have any advice, or like what do you do to build those relationships?
In the beginning, it was just pedal to the floor, trying to figure it out. And I definitely burnt a couple bridges that I shouldn't have, just trying to look for answers that weren't there yet. So my biggest key of advice for relationships is just slow down. Think about how long it takes for you and another individual to become best friends or brothers or sisters, like whatever you want to call it. With sponsors and business relationships and just personal relationships in the community, you just have to slow down. You can't expect some answer to just pop up into your head. You can really like somebody and go all in, and then in 6 months, just like you would in a friendship, you're going to learn a lot of things about them that maybe you're not so stoked about, or maybe you're going to get lucky and you latched on to the right person and you're going to get more stoked about. But it's just patience.
What do you mean answers you're looking for?
As far as like how to do it, how you're gonna, how you're gonna get stuff from that company, or how you're gonna get that certain individual to book you shows, or whatever you foresee in that relationship helping out your personal stuff. It just takes time. It really does. It's just
Nurturing.
Exactly, and just being patient and caring about that person as much as they want you to care about you, or you want them to care about you. Even if people aren't showing it, you have to stick to your roots, and you have to just remember everyone's going through their own thing. Even the people that support us and sponsor us, they all have personal lives too. They aren't just going home and thinking all night, like, how can I better senders only? Like, they got a family to feed, they got dinner to make, they got a family barbecue to be at that weekend that they probably don't want to go to. Like, we all have our own lives, and that's one thing that I think is kind of overlooked in the professional rider world, is that we just want answers now. Because our whole livelihood, everything that we've done over the last decade, is all riding on that person or that relationship's answer, or that company being stoked. And it's like that doesn't solve anything, because they'll give you an answer right now, but what if they can't follow through with it? Like, you really need to let them sit in it and make sure that they can do for you what they can. And then the longer you wait, like, the sweeter it gets. It truly does, because if they really care about what's going to happen with you in that company, they're brainstorming, they're figuring it out. And it's just sending a nice, hey, just checking in email goes a lot further than sending a, hey, I need an answer right now email. And you just want to stay in their inbox and just stay relevant and just be around, like, be an option.
So when you're like seeking out a sponsorship or relationship partnership with that company?
Yeah, all the way down to getting a stunt show booked, all the way down to, like, and it kind of falls to anything in life. But what we're talking about is getting the answer you want isn't always the answer you need. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta wait, and you gotta make sure that you're taking into play what that brand or what that show or venue or whatever it is that because I fixate. And I start freaking out, and I'm like, yo, I need this. Like, if we don't get this show, it's over. And like, but it's not like that. If I don't get that show, I'm going to find another one. If that sponsor doesn't work out, I'm going to find another one.
Or they'll come around next year.
100%.
You're already put the plug in their ear, and they know about you, and they're just not ready yet.
Yeah, I have contracts that are going into play this year that I've been working on since like 2018, 2019 with people, and it just never was right. And I knew their company would get bigger, and I knew that I would get bigger, and it would finally mesh. But had I sent emails that I wanted to send, like, hey, shit, or get off the pot, I don't know if I'd be signing them this year. So my biggest advice on making relationships and the sponsorship stuff happen is just patience. Like, just keep doing what you do. And then the hard truth is, people don't want to support someone that can't do it without support. Like, if you can't do it on your own, why are they going to do it for you?
That's so good. That's great advice.
It's hectic. It's hard. And it's a hard pill to swallow, because these are $15,000 bikes. And, you can get it around in a piece of shit, couple $1,000 truck, but realistically, then you need a $10,000 truck. Then you need a $5,000 trade. Like, it's hectic to hear that advice, I know, but sponsors don't want to work with someone that can only do it if they're helping.
Yeah, that's so good.
And I learned that the hard way, so.
Well, I think we met like 6 years ago at Legends. Was it the first Bell Brawl?
It was If it wasn't the first, it was like the first or second, but I do believe it was the first. Yes.
How old were you?
21.
You were 21 years old, and I remember you telling me, I'm going to be a millionaire. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah.
Or thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. So your mindset was already there, which is, I was actually inspired by that. Your mindset was already there, and you were already 21 years old doing the first Bell Brawl. What got you to that point? Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying the episode. Real quick plug, I want to invite you guys to our online wheelie coaching course. This is exclusively made for Harley riders. We created a 3-stage progression method that is guaranteed to teach you how to wheelie. This is for day one learning riders. It's broken down from day one all the way to balance point. With this course, you get our exclusive members only Get Vertical app that makes it easier to access while you're at the lot practicing. You also get to join our Facebook community where we have a group experts in there all ready to help and other Harley Stunt riders learning from each other. You'll also get invited with online group coaching with Bruce and I, where you can ask us direct questions about your progress and any struggles you're having. You can sign up at getverticalcoaching.com. Link will be in the description. Anyways, back to the show.
I mean, I can go on and on about all the things that I did to get there, but really it circles back. It was Max. It was the relationships that I had built. We had chased all of our homies to Utah to watch them ride shows. A couple of my boys got stuck in a rainstorm and I was there ready to go. And I got tagged in. I wasn't even that ready yet. I couldn't drift. I couldn't do anything, but Max liked my attitude. He liked that I was there and we were ready to party. So after that, it kind of started turning into the competition side, and Max and I became really good friends. So it was cool. I got to kind of play both sides where he would let me know like, hey, you can't really like leverage this, but this is what's going on, because he was just excited. And I always walked that line really well of keeping those things to myself and not letting the sponsors know what's going on yet until I could. Mm-hmm. And he appreciated that. So when the brawls took off, we got to ride shows the day before, and then the brawls would happen. And then with that came Legends, and Legends just, I don't know, Jesse, the owner, and I just really clicked. He gave me advice back then that still stuck with me, which is where that patience shit comes from. Cause he was just like, yo, you're, like you just said, he's like, you're 21, like chill.
Yeah.
Like just take a breath, do your thing.
You're doing great.
Yeah. This industry is only going to get bigger, and you just need to plant your roots now and let them grow. So there's a lot of people and a lot of work that went in that got me at that place. But like back then, it wasn't enough for me. Yeah. I was just wigging out.
You were eager.
That's all. I just wanted more and more.
So what vision did you have? Did you already think, when you said I want to be a millionaire, were you thinking motorcycles?
I knew that motorcycles were going to introduce me to the people to do it. I didn't know if it was going to be with motorcycles, but I knew I would meet the people in the industry. And I have, and obviously I'm not a millionaire. I'm still working on getting closer and closer to that journey. I don't know. Back then, yes, I was like, I believe I'll be able to do it on motorcycles, but I was also very open to the idea that motorcycles were just going to introduce me to the people.
It's going to open the door to whatever avenue of success that it's going to lead you to.
Right. Because a lot of the people that have made Legend where it's at don't come from like motorcycles, a lot of them. One of the coolest guys that was ever there that I really clicked with, he was, owned one of the biggest firefighting or fire truck distributor companies like in the world. It's like they build fire trucks from the ground up and sell them. And like he and I hit it off. And then a couple other people I've met through Legend that come from different walks of life. That was when it kind of hit me like, all right, maybe I'm just going to meet somebody and we're going to do something cool. But from then to now, it's still all just been through motorcycles, because we've launched, the exhaust brand and stuff like that. I still have yet to venture out. And that's mainly because I've just tried really hard to hone in on what we have going on now. Mm-hmm. So my plan is in my early 30s to try to launch a business outside of the motorcycle world and see how it goes for me. But right now I feel like with how many individuals have just poured so many resources into me, it would borderline be selfish and a little disrespectful to put my energy anywhere else, because I haven't I haven't gotten everything I have now to a where it could be, or at least I feel so.
The potential of it.
Right.
So it's so interesting to hear your story because you had this business mindset at such a young age, but you were already into motorcycles. So can you walk me through the beginning of when you started riding, and then at what point did you just decide to make money from this? Because I don't see that you're doing this for money. Like I see that you actually do love riding, but it just somehow like your passion and your drive for, and I guess your passion for business all linked together, like flawlessly almost. So can you walk me through how you started riding, where you came from, and then how that passion with business collided?
Riding. So my pops was just a major gearhead. So I got a motorcycle for my 3rd birthday, and then I started racing at 5 years old, and I raced motocross my whole life. We never really took a break from it. There was a few years like I wanted to play baseball and stuff like that, and I had like just an all around like one of those dads. Like as long as I put my energy into it, we could do whatever we wanted. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor. You know, he worked his ass off. My mom worked her ass off, and it put us in a capable position. You know, we still had to grind. I didn't have the nicest stuff, but I didn't have the worst stuff. So I never really went more than 6 months my whole entire life without riding. And then when I was riding, it was 3 days a week behind the house. We had a little track, and then off weekends we would go ride trails and the rocks and stuff like that. And then on weekends we were racing, and we just chased every series we could for the better part of 15 years. And I never was quite the best, but obviously I learned how to ride. We knew how to get down. And then, dude, real life, we weren't I was completely kept away from Harleys. I was completely kept away from street bikes. My mom's brother's dad, they had different fathers. He passed away on a motorcycle, and then it wasn't even a conversation.
It was trauma.
Yeah, it was just no. Like, you cannot ride street bikes. I will enable you to get any off-road toy you want type relationship as long as you got good grades. And, you know, I wasn't a disrespectful little shit. I really had whatever I wanted. So I wasn't like in this place where I just had to have a street bike. But then I met my now wife, who posted this fucking Facebook status about how, and we were like 17, 18, and she just wanted to go on a Harley ride so bad. So I just started searching for Harleys because I wanted to impress her. Couldn't afford the Harley at the time because they wanted like $600-$700 a month because I had no credit yet. So I got that Yamaha Bolt, and it just played the part. It was loud. It looked cool to me. And for the first better part of a year, I didn't know what unknown was. Like I didn't know anything about stunt riding, but we were dirt bike kids. So we just started like naturally like standing on the seat and trying to wheelie it and figure it out. And I was going to school for business at the time, and I had a really good job that required me to really use my brain. And at the time, they were sending us to like communication seminars and like really high-end stuff that I didn't necessarily have any business being at, but my boss really believed in me. Mm-hmm. And then he let me bring on my best friend, Zach, who now lives at my house, and we're brothers. He's a very successful artist now, traveling the country. I'm really proud of him. And we just started being sent to these seminars that were, dude, just so above us. And we realized that early, and we both promised each other that like, whether it was a nudge or a tap on the shoulder, that we were just going to shut up and listen. And so for 3 or 4 years, from 17 till I was about 21, we were just soaking in this crazy knowledge, like insane knowledge. And it lit a fire under both of our ass to like, dude, we got to do something. There's like, just out of respect for my boss, out of respect for all these people. So then Gary saw me on the Bolt, and he had a Bolt at the time, and he just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Gary from Bassani. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it really all circles back to Gary. Mm-hmm. And that's why I've worked so hard, even after leaving Bassani, to keep it cool with Gary, because I owe a lot of it to him. So he hired me to do the Parts Unlimited magazine, and I could barely even ride yet. So I brought out one of my buddies who was already a very successful photographer, and he got some really good photos. We were able to edit out to make it not look like it was on a public road. And boom, I got like a small $200-$300 check to do just what I was doing every day anyways. And my mom was still livid that I had the bike, but I remember coming home and asking her to make me an invoice so that I could invoice Bassani for this Parts Unlimited book. And she was mind blown. She's like, what do you mean? Like we've been riding motorcycles your whole life. You've never gotten paid from it. Like, what does this look like? I was like, I don't know what it looks like, but this sponsor's willing to give me a couple $100 so that I'm in the magazine, and we're going to go from there. So then after I got that, I started looking out and about, and then we met Tyler and Dom, and it kind of all just started, you know, all through Instagram kind of going out. And I think, like you said, to me, it wasn't about the money, because we were going to do it regardless, but fuck, the money was intriguing. I was like, there's no way. Like, there's just no way. Like, I've been riding motocross my whole entire life. I've had my moments, but all it's done is cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've never made any money back. I just financed this bike for $300 a month, and now I'm making a couple $100 here, a couple $100. It blew my mind.
So it opened the door of possibilities to you.
Correct.
How did you meet Gary?
Instagram. I posted up I had like less than 1,000 followers. I was never really into the social media bullshit. You know, to be overly honest, my ex before my wife was so toxic. There was no social media, like stay off social media. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I was busy. So I posted up a post and did like the little hashtag Yamaha Bolt, 'cause one of my buddies told me to. And I woke up the next morning and that post had like over 10,000 views, and like it was just flooded. And I had Bassani, and a couple other brands that I don't want to misspeak. They were just in my inbox like, hey, let's do something. And originally, Bassani was just going to give me 50% off. And then my dirt bike blew up, and I was still full-blown dirt bike kid then. So I was like, whatever, and took the dirt bike in, rebuilt everything. And I was super honest with Gary. I was just like, hey, dude, I can't afford it. And so he just sent the pipe out. And then it turned into one thing after another. I noticed those boys going out to Utah to go ride that show, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, these are like people I know.
Who, Tallboy and them? Yeah,
Tallboy, Dom, Tyler Hook, Ginger Wheelies, Holden. It was those four. But then Holden and Tyler got stuck in the rainstorm, like I said earlier, and then we were already there. So I rode for, you know, collectively like an hour over 2 days, and Ride and Destroy gave me $600. And I came home and I was like, Mom, like,
look,
what do I do? And I owe a lot of it to my mom. Like, my mom's nasty. Her brain's wicked. And she sat me down and was like, all right, look, like, we're going to make you a proposal. We're going to make you everything. And so then before I knew it, I had a disgusting sponsor deck. All this, like,
what?
Yeah, it just started falling together really, really, really quickly. And then, like I said earlier, it all circles back to Gary. Gary called Fueling. Gary called Legends. Gary called all of them. And they all start, you know, and like the first pair of coil shocks that were ever sent out was to Filthy Phil and myself. And I had to take them in my garage. I was drilling them out and trying to make them fit on the bolt. And they were so mad about that. They were like, dude, we can't have you on the bolt. But Jesse and I clicked. And that's a whole nother story. I would call into Legends and be like, these are awful, and not knowing I'm talking to the owner like the whole time. And that's why it was embarrassing once I learned. Like, I remember one of the phone calls, I was like, dude, you gotta like talk to whoever can change this. And he goes, well, I'm the owner. So I was like,
and you're talking to Jesse.
Fuck. Like, so it like you said, it wasn't about the money, but I can definitely say that the money lit a fire under me to like,
to go down that path.
Yo, figure this out, because you're not even trying right now, and we're coming up on $2-3 grand over the last 6 months, and you're just doing what you're gonna do anyways.
Were you doing wheelies yet?
Barely.
So what were they paying you for? You said you rode for
I could get it up and like get the point across. And
what?
And like no one else was doing it on the Yamaha Bolt yet. So that's like why it stuck. And then once I started, by the time that I made it to Utah and rode those shows, I could do like a controlled slow wheelie and a burnout. And that was it. And then I was bitching and moaning to the bike, couldn't drift. Tallboy hopped on it and drifted it like there was no tomorrow. And then I was like, all right, game on. And
so they paid you $600 for a power wheelie.
Yeah. I mean, they were controlled. It wasn't quite a power wheelie. Like I was, but not like, I could get it like straight up and down and ride the brake for like 5-10 seconds. It wasn't like anything super impressive yet. And like Dom and Tallboy was already doing hand drags. Dom was parking it on the 12 plate for like 10-15 feet, and I'm just in there like shaking.
And you're probably getting paid the same amount as them.
No, they got more.
Oh, okay.
They got more, which is
fair enough.
Which is cool.
That's fair.
They were nasty. Like it wasn't, and like you said, it wasn't about the money. It was just like no way. Like I've been riding my whole life, and now all of a sudden, like there's a crowd.
The opportunity.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit of an outlier, and I've talked about it on my show before. What an outlier is. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
You should read the book Outliers. You'd be into that shit. It's a business book. It's basically all these people are placed. They were the right age at the right place at the right time in history. That they became extremely successful in that niche.
Okay.
So that would be you, I would assume, because you were in the right place, right time, right age, with the right bike.
Had I been on a Sportster, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
It was all just like whoever was looking out for me, like coming together.
But do you think that in this industry, it's still possible to get as much opportunity as before? Like as the OGs got? Like say you and I, we were given so much opportunity. Do you think it's the same?
That's a really good question. In some ways, my brain goes to yes, and in some ways, my brain goes to no.
Okay, break that down for me.
I would lean towards yes because the industry is still growing so rapidly, and new brands are popping up left and right that do have the funding. Whether it's a sister branch or a younger branch of a brand that's already there, from Baja Designs to our exhaust brand SPC. To all these helmet companies that are now coming in looking to get their helmets on kids, from Torque helmets to HJC helmets. Yes, is it harder? Of course. But is there just as much opportunity? Yes. It's definitely, as we all know, becoming a little bit more flooded. By the time you get to a dealer, there's already been 5 or 6 other stunt groups there offering them shows, and the pricing gets a little bit weird because some people are just sending it without insurance. Some people are sending it with insurance. I really think that question circles back to what we talked about earlier, like relationships. If you're willing to just be patient, if you're doing it for the right, put it this way, if you're doing it for the right reasons, there is enough opportunity. 110%.
What is the right reasons?
Love. Like if you're not going to ride your bike unless you're getting free shit, you just need to go park it. And that's rough to hear. I get it. Like there's a lot of dudes that hopped over from the street bikes onto the Harleys because they saw how much like Harleys are getting love right now. And I'm all about it. Like I'm all about it. But if you're only going to ride that bike because that there's more companies supporting those bikes right now, like respectfully go park it.
Yeah.
And it's heavy. Like I don't want to be that guy that's like bumming people out, but if you're doing it for the right reasons and you're obsessed with getting better, getting your bike better, getting your rig better, your friends better, their sponsors better, yes, there's tons of opportunity. But I can understand why some people would say, nah, like you guys have gotten all that love from the beginning, so you wouldn't understand. And maybe my judgment is a little bit clouded because of that. But they weren't all paying when we first got on.
Yeah.
It was all just free shit.
Yeah.
And then you have to really focus on your ROI. Like what's your return investment? What are these companies getting out of giving you free stuff? Are you selling them product? Because no one's getting paid anymore just to be a cool guy.
Yeah.
Like no company is getting on Instagram and they're like, wow, that trick was so sick. Send him a check. Like it just doesn't work like that anymore.
So how does it work?
You have to prove your sales. You really do. You have to get into it with a shop that can supply you the parts and keep track of what you've sold. Or you can go to the next level like we have and like High Side Joe has and like Sea Bear did and many other riders. Roger Reagan from Straight Up was really the first one to do it. And that's who we've really mimicked.
Do what exactly? What
opening up a shop, getting your drag account. It's not a secret.
So tell me how that works. So you do it with senders only. You're a drag specialty dealer, and is this how you support your partnerships?
100%.
So you have your website, and you push their parts. do you make a percentage of their parts
sales?
Yeah,
because you have to buy in to drag.
Okay.
And then once you buy in, you know what I mean, you're now a dealer, so you're getting 30 to 50 points on all parts. So, and it's, as much as people want to act like it's a secret, like I'm not a gatekeeper. Like if you can afford to go get your storefront, get your dealer accounts going and get your stuff going, you clearly have already either saved up a bunch of money to invest or you're willing to take the risk. Because us opening up our shop was nothing but a risk, but we knew it would pan out. There's very few people that are still getting paid that aren't proving how much they're making the companies. You know what I mean? Like, Seabear deserves to get paid for who he is because of how hard he's worked and how long he's done it. And he's the best of the best. So whether he sells parts or not, the dude needs to be paid. If he's rocking someone's product.
So he's built those relationships. He's made a name for himself, and he has the backing of the following.
And his reach is insane. His reach alone is worth those checks. Any company that gets their product on Jeff's bike is lucky to have their product on his bike. He doesn't need to prove his RI because his RI is the reach.
Well, I have a question about that because I think the line gets blurred, and this is where I'm trying to figure out my path. Is at what point is just putting it on your bike and riding and just posting yourself doing a wheelie helping the company versus actually making product brand specific content?
Because you guys are getting 50 times the amount of eyes that someone like myself can get. And I've worked really hard on my Instagram page, but it's been stuck at whatever I'm at for years now. So, and Jeff and people like yourself, you guys are going out there and continuously making content that goes viral. And from someone who now owns, a couple companies where we can make money off that, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that's just as valuable as someone like myself that can just prove how much I'm selling, right? Like it kind of goes hand in hand. And one person could break down one side and another person could break down the other side and make either side sound more valuable. But at the end of the day, if you have a huge following, everything you post is getting, hundreds of thousands of views. That's just as important as me selling 5 pairs of shocks a week. You know what I mean? Because how many girls are now looking at a Harley like, wow, I could wheelie it. I need legends. Like that's what you're creating. And at the end of the day, do they actually need legends to do a wheelie? No.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that people can be very honest about or not be very honest about. And that's why I'm at where I'm at is like, dude, even if the truth hurts, like it's the truth. Do you need legends to wheelie? No. Will it make your life easier? Of course. Should you buy them? Maybe. But why would you buy them? Because they support everybody that you think is sick.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Like if you really want this scene to grow, buy legends.
Oh, I love that
like
outlook.
That's what it's about. And it's the same thing with Bassani.
So good.
Yeah, it's just about understanding like, yo, this is what's making everyone that you like money. And if you want to support them, that's why you buy it.
I love that, Joey.
It's hard. But at the end of the day, for me, our eyes have worked. For people like Jeff, people like yourself, I can name, tons of them. It's the reach. Your guys' reach is insane. And
so what you're saying is someone that doesn't have very much of a following can kind of go the path of selling the parts for the company. Correct.
And then proving that sale and asking for a very small kickback. Like, hey, dude, my local shop can show you that I sold 10 pairs of shocks this month. Do you guys think you could float me a free pair? And then you get a free pair of shocks, whether you have 1,000 followers or 50,000 followers. Like it, But that's just one way.
So what if you don't have a shop?
It gets sticky. That's an answer that I'd like to hear from somebody that's figured it out.
Let's say a beginner with maybe 4,000 to 5,000 followers. They're a decent stunt rider. They haven't gotten their following up enough because it just takes time, flat out. But they haven't figured out a business avenue where they can support their partnerships.
Then they just need to focus on riding, because eventually the more you ride, the more you're going to need stuff, and then you're going to find that person.
And maybe building the relationships and building those roots like you were talking about.
Yeah, and don't go crazy tagging all these people that you don't work with, but tagging them every once in a while, making them aware of what you're doing. There's so many companies that I've sent my resume to, You know, for the longest time, it was the goofiest thing, but like I just wanted to be in A$AP Rocky's music videos. So I found his manager and I sent them my resume like once a month for like years, and it never planned out. But if it would have worked out, it would have worked out. I got into a bunch of Polo G's music videos from it and stuff like that. Like I still ended up getting some work from it, but like if you want something bad enough, like especially if you're at that 4,000 or 5,000 follower mark. And you, especially if your riding's worth it, like if you know your riding's worth it and your following's just not there, create a nasty resume. Like straight up, make yourself look like Travis Pastrana on your resume.
What does the resume look like to you?
Who are you and how are you going to help the company? Because that's
all they care about.
Yeah, and they have to, because at the end of the day, right? Legends and fueling and Saddlemen, like, and I got to be careful because they've brought me in under their wing and I know more than I should, but at the end of the day, they still have quotas. They have bills to pay, and everyone looks at them like this. They're multi-million-dollar companies. They can just do this, they can do that. It costs multi-millions monthly to make those millions. So it's not quite what everyone thinks. You know what I mean? Just like we have good months and we have bad months. You know, some months paying the bills is super easy, whereas other months, like, you're like, oh shit, those big multi-million-dollar companies have all that too. So they need to either A, see your reach, B, see what their return investment's going to be on you, or I don't know. Like it's hard.
What direction do you think they could start working towards building? Do you think they should start building their relationship if they're at the 4,000 to 5,000 mark? Building their relationship, building their following, and what else possibly?
Finding someone or a company that maybe isn't there yet that you believe in, you know?
That's good.
Legends wasn't...
And grow with them.
Right. Legends wasn't at where they're at when we started. You know what I mean? When we all got, like, that year we were staying there, they were just now starting to see this crazy fucking, whatever you want to call it, wave of like a little bit of money. You know, and now it's ginormous. So
do you think that the stunt riding helped Legends grow?
We 110% made them the cool kid shock, and that is okay. That's 110% something that's allowed to be known.
Yeah.
Is our marketing aspect with Legends was, we need to make this the cool kid shock, and now everyone wants to compare it to Olin's, and they're like, Olin's is this, Olin's is that. Well, we're just stoked we're in the same sentence as Olin's. Like, cool. It's fucking Olin's, bro. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, it's Olin's. I get it. But the fact that you're even comparing us to them is amazing.
So I think Legends and Bassani, they jumped on the influencer marketing fast.
Yeah.
Do you see that, you know how we were saying it's kind of like getting saturated a little bit? Do you think that companies are thinking, oh, well, you know, Bassani Legends already took over, like there's no point in paying these influencers to do anything because they already kind of saturated the market?
No, I truly believe that with the right attitude and the right approach, that these companies will still, it's hard on the influencer side because, like we talked about, there's so many now. And respectfully, you have a lot of these dudes and girls that aren't doing anything besides having followers, and they're getting a bunch of free stuff. Like, cool, bro, you're standing on your seat riding down a hill. Like, I don't get it. But there's 200,000 people following you, and maybe you're going to get 10 sales a month from it, so it's worth it for the company. So it's very easy to get bitter when you're at the lot 3 days a week. Your following's stuck there at 5,000, 6,000 followers, 10,000 followers. For me, I've been stuck at 50K for years. It's very easy to get bitter. It's easy to be like, yo, how are all these influencers just grabbing Harley? You know, TJ Hunt has never posted anything about Harley, and he just got 5 free Harleys and a huge endorsement deal from Harley Davidson.
Holy shit.
And you're like, what? Like, how does, you know, no hate to the dude. I watch his stuff. He's badass. But, like, Trent and I were just talking about it, like, how?
How?
And it'll make someone like myself, it can make someone like myself
resentful and bitter. For
no reason. That dude's just out there trying to, you know, we're all just squirrels looking for a nut, and that dude happened to get his nut. Yeah. And you have to be stoked for people whether you understand it or not.
No, I know what you mean, because I had asked, I'm not going to call anyone out, but Bruce, I'm like, how did this person nail Monster? There's like no skills. And he's like, it's all connections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you're right.
It really truly is all about who you know. And then there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes for all of us that we don't know about, you know. To us, it'll look like they're not doing anything, and then Monday through Friday they're grinding. You know what I mean? So it can go either way. But I really feel for those dudes that, if they do feel that way, if someone's like, man, it's saturated, find other companies. You know, and I feel like that's one thing that got really hard for the stunt scene is everyone felt like if you don't have Bassani and you don't have Legend and you don't have Saddleman or Lucky Dave, like you're nobody. And it's like that doesn't mean shit. Those were just the companies that were down to work with us at the time. We've all helped blow them up, so you guys can find more companies and help blow them up. Like it's not super crazy difficult to get into the position I'm in. Like I'm not some freak of nature. I just got patient, found the companies that fucked with me, and just like I've been with Legends for going on 8-9 years now. You know, and we're not going anywhere. We love each other. We work together really well. They sold recently, as most people know, and stuff's still staying the same because it works, right? Yeah. Same with Feeling's on a crazy rapid growth right now. But there's, you know, I really, really, really respect what the boys out in Denver are doing, Drifters Co. Like they're working with Nowaski, they're working with a new helmet company. Like that's the shit that needs to happen. Like, am I gonna sell Nowaski shocks? If a customer wants them, yes, but I'm not pushing them. So that's a whole nother brand that these dudes can now push, get paid from. Like that's the shit that needs to happen if people really still want to see this Harley wheelie stuff go somewhere. We can't all just ride for Legend. Yeah. We can't all ride for Bell. Yeah. You know, and like that was one of the biggest turning points for me is as much as I love Gary, it was just like, yo, there's so many people on this Bassani team now. And like I love Bassani. We still sell their pipes. You know, like I have nothing against them, but you know, Jeremy Twitch has taught me a lot in that category. Like when it's time, dude. And if like, do you want to be a pro rider or do you just want to work with the same people forever? And that's a huge turning point in your career when you have to like recognize like I'm worth this much a month or I'm worth this much every quarterly or yearly, however you want to get paid. And if someone's not willing to pay it, somebody else will.
You got to kind of move on.
And it's rough.
So how do you maintain those relationships when you basically break up with a company that you actually truly care about?
It's hard. It's really hard because a lot of people will they'll intertwine loyalty with all that, and it's just like it has nothing to do with loyalty. It just has a lot to do with like that's a rough topic. It's just self-worth, you know what I mean? Like I've worked too hard to be dicked around. And if like business is business, and that's why people will always say don't do business with people you love. Because it'll, you know, your love's going to overshadow what actually needs to happen, you know, and Gary was not happy with me. You know, I'll openly say that. And he had every right not to be happy with me. He had done everything he could and the ball was kind of out of his hands. And he was waiting on higher ups to approve some stuff. I got offered a crazy deal and I took it. And I called him. I asked him like, hey, would you do it? He said yes. And we didn't talk for a few months and it killed me. It hurt. And then we've ran into each other now a lot. We still follow each other on social media. Like there's still a lot of love there, but it will never be what it used to be, right? Because I had to go. I really did.
It's kind of like breaking up with a girlfriend that you still love, but you know there's no growth there anymore.
It's just time. Yeah. You know, and I'm a strong believer in when you're making a company money and you can prove it, they need to pay you. And at the end of the day, that just wasn't happening with them anymore. And that's, you know, it's not a fun topic. It's not talking shit. It's not hating on Bassani, but at the end of the day, I need to get paid to do what I do if I'm going to continue to give you media and all this exposure that I know how to, at least. They have to pay for it.
So that's the hard part because we are doing so much work for these companies and it is work to create content, as you know, create content and just be out there just wrecking your bike constantly in your body. Like, how do you balance it when there's people that are willing to do it for free?
You have to, and that's a good question. You have to not focus on them. You literally have to just tune them out because all it's going to do is just make you bitter. It really is. If you're making money and other people are doing what you're doing for free, you just be aware, understand that that's what's happening, but you just have to tune it out. At least that's what worked for me. Because it's the same thing that it will just put you in a bitter place from other people that are just maybe not, I don't want to say at the same level as you, but are at a different part of their journey. They're still trying to figure out, hey, is this profitable? Hey, can I get paid if I do this? And, I think that one thing that's really good for people like yourself and I to put ourselves in this place where there was once upon a time where we were doing that shit for free.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
We've grown from it. And a couple of my friends I've had to not put in their place, but remind them hey, dude, you've been doing a lot of stuff for that company over the last 2 years and they still haven't worked a deal with you. They're not sending you any product anymore and you're still just tagging them because it's a cool thing to do. And that just circles back to self-worth. You don't want to, if you're doing your best to stay sober and you're making money off staying sober and a bunch of your buddies are still making money or not making money to not stay sober, you don't want to focus on them. You want to, and that's a weird analogy, I know, but you want to focus on being clean and healthy and staying away from all that. So if you believe that what you're doing is worth money and someone else is doing the same thing for free, I have to just tune it out.
Do you think it goes back to just one, insecurities, or two, they just don't know how to manage themselves?
It's situational. I feel like it depends where that person comes from, and that's something we all have to look as much as you look in the mirror, when you're looking at someone else and they're doing something, you can't really judge what they're doing unless you're willing to do the research on how they got there, why they're doing what they're doing, how they're doing it. There's just so many different walks of life trying to do what we do now. And a lot of people had money before it. So it looks like they're on some crazy level because they had all the money to pay for it before they even started. And then you have other people that are out there murdering it and their bikes are straight piles of junk because they don't have the money to make it nice yet. And they'll get there. But that's all, for me, that's all just, it's situational. I've been very blessed to be put in the position that I'm in. So I try really hard not to focus on that.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, it just puts me in a weird mood, seeing someone put in all this, and I want to hit them up and try to help them. I don't want to hit them up and be like, yo, you're fucking everything up. You're doing it for free. I want to be like, yo, you're sick. Here's maybe what you could do a little bit differently. But no one wants to get a DM like that. No one wants to go on Instagram and have some DM from some pro rider telling them they need to change all this shit. Yeah. So I've really kept my space, and it's probably shot me in the foot in some areas and it's probably helped me in other areas, but I have no more drama. If someone's upset with me, it's very one-sided, because if they came and talked to me about it, we would have a dope ass resolution from it and we'd become friends. Cause it's not for me. I have no ambition to be a tough guy. I have no, this is for everybody. I'm not a gatekeeper. If you want to be a pro stunt Harley rider and you want my help, I will help you. I've passed the torch off in many categories to many friends, but I don't know. I'd say just don't focus on it.
How do you deal with gatekeepers, or how have you dealt with gatekeepers on your come up?
I've just outworked them.
That's my exact same answer.
Yeah, I've just outworked them. If they really think that what they're doing can't be done by somebody else, not only am I going to do it, I'm going to do it better.
I love that.
So that's honestly the people that have gate kept certain companies from me. It's been good. It's been a good thing for me. It hasn't been a negative. It just made me more hungry, more ambitious.
Yeah, I think your work ethic shows through what you've built.
Right. People will be able to see.
Also, I wanted to bring up senders only. About, was it 5 or 6 years ago, was just a phrase. Mm-hmm. How did you build a brand around this phrase that you kind of coined a little bit? I feel like you coined it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you were the first one that said it, but you made it cool.
No, it's a hometown thing for us. Our buddy Connor, who just meant the world to all of us, it was really his. And he passed away, and I saw a lot of trophy truck dudes tagging in. I saw a lot of people using it that just, It's always been a thing. People have always said senders only. We didn't invent it. Connor didn't invent it, but it was his. Like, we all knew the senders only was Connor's. So after he passed, I trademarked it, and I didn't do anything with it. I just wanted to make sure that if it got into the wrong person's hands, that we could say no. And then we started writing shows for Moto America, and they needed something to call us. And so we came up with like all these names and all this shit. And it was just like, well, dude, we own senders only. We're just going to call it senders only. And we were in Virginia, a Virginia International Raceway. And we heard senders only stunt shows coming on. And like, it was just sick. It lit a fire under Foley and I's ass. But the reason that senders only is at where it's at is just the people I've surrounded myself with. From Brendan, Foley, to our lead tech, Snowball, to my right-hand man, Mayor, who was a leapfrog for the Navy for years, jumps out of planes with like the big American flag behind him, to my wife, to Zach, the musician I mentioned earlier. Like, senders only wouldn't be what it is if I hadn't surrounded myself with good people. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I've just kind of tapped in over the last few years of like being methodical and just slowing down and having patience. But it really is just my group. They all held me very accountable. I've really stayed in this place where like, yo, would 19-year-old me be stoked on this? Like, when I was risking everything I had, like, is this something that I would want to do, or is this just a business move? And then it's just going to keep circling back to I surrounded myself with, and Foley wanted to open up the shop, and we hit the ground running with the shop, and it blew up in our face. The shop's insane. I would love to welcome anybody there whenever they can come by, and they're in San Diego. It's such a blessing. It's insane. Thursday through Saturday, it's just nonstop people showing up wanting to meet us.
That's so dope,
bro. It's insane. It's I knew we could run a successful shop. I had no idea that it was gonna morph, like that it was all just gonna like grab onto each other, and all of our stunt riding fans and all of these people that I grew up with from dirt bikes would start buying Harleys, and it's just turned into something so much bigger than myself. And I can't stand doing the clothing, but I continue to do the clothing because there's so many people that want to wear it. Yeah. And that means the world to me. Like, the fact that someone will go work 50 hours a week, and then when they get paid, go spend a couple $100 on my website. Like, that shit, that's a huge deal to me. Yeah. Like, that means the world to me. And without those people putting in their time and then supporting what I'm doing, I don't have a job. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I've just tried to stay very grounded with senders only and not get into like some false reality of what I want it to be compared to what it is. Mm-hmm. So it's we don't pull huge profits, but we can engulf ourselves in the next step and at least break even and figure out how to make it profit. But senders only is only at where it's at due to my surroundings. And it's really important to surround yourself with good people.
So, you know how there's different sides of stunt riding? I feel like there's a business side. Let me rephrase this. There's two types of people in stunt riding. There's like the business professional people that are in stunt riding, the Harley stunt scene. And then there's like the hooligans that party and just kind of, mm-hmm. I don't want to talk negatively, but they waste away or they don't make anything from it. Mm-hmm. Or like make anything out of it. Is that what you mean by choosing and surrounding yourself around good people?
I think that the party scene has a lot of value in it if it's handled the right way. You know, you can make a lot of money off throwing parties. Everybody wants to have a good time, and as long as you're not getting, too plastered and too drunk all the time and too yacked off to handle your business, there is a lot of money behind the party thing, and I didn't always feel that way. I don't know. That's a good question. I am trying really hard to walk this fine line of not being just a business asshole and still hanging out with all those guys. Sit Down Steve really opened up my eyes to that like 4 or 5 years ago. He was like, dude, you can do all this business stuff, but if you don't ever show face, you're just going to become a suit. And that really stuck with me.
What do you mean by that?
It means that you have to let loose and hang out with those guys as much as you can, but still be on your shit. Like, you still got to go back to the trailer that night and reply to emails and get up in the morning and make sure proposals have, like, made it into the right people's inbox and shit. But at the end of the day, no one's going to support the dude that's just making money off of it. They want to know that you're one of, like, we're all the same, you know, like, I'm not. And for a while there, I don't regret it, but from 20 to 23, I was just like, no, I'm it. Like, no one can touch me. I got this shit figured out. And then from 23 to 27, I've just learned how fucking wrong I was. How,
and
like,
what aspect do you mean?
as far as
like, you didn't hang out with anyone?
Yeah, I just stayed to myself. We'd go to the rally, I go handle my shit, and I just go back to the motorhome and geek out on my laptop and shit. And I just, that stuff.
And work.
Yeah, and it doesn't get you anywhere.
So I'm having a hard time with balancing my life because I don't party anymore. You know, I used to be a huge party animal. Like, I'd be in the scene and I'd be traveling, I'd do street rides, do all the things, but now I literally cannot.
But that's completely okay. You have a beautiful family, you have a beautiful home, like, you know what I mean? Everyone's allowed to move on to other stages of their life. But for me, like, my personal experience is I'm still 27, and back then I was only 23, 24, and I was just playing this role like I'm the business guy. Like, I'm going to make this money. I'm going to get this bread. I'm going to figure this out. And as much as that elevated my career, it just doesn't need to be 24/7. And, you know, as your little ones get older and you're able to take more time away, you're completely in the right to go to Sturgis and get shit-faced if you want to. If you don't want to, it doesn't make you any less or more.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you put in your time with the scene. They all know how badass you are. So if you've decided to move on and be a good mom now, who the fuck's going to hate on that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seasons of life.
110%. And that's one thing that now that stunt riding's continuously grown over the last decade, that people are really going to have to bite their lip and respect. Like, dog, anyone that hates on Drea not being out there partying anymore probably isn't planning on having kids and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like,
how do you transition from that role as a dude? It's different from a chick because we get ripped from the scene completely because we get pregnant.
Right.
And we have to take a whole year off to have a baby.
That's fair.
So how are you planning your transition? Because now you have a wife and you said you're starting to slow down. How do you transition from this full-fledged pro stunt rider to now a business owner and potentially a dad?
It's scary. I'll be honest with you. Any answers I give on that right now could change. But what I'm focused on right now is just my people. I've put a huge merge of my energy just into making sure that everyone around me is okay. And from personal to business to all of it. And then making sure that I'm okay. You know, I've taken some time off the bike to see how it suits me, and I fucking hate it. Yeah. It drives me nuts. But I'm also in this really weird place right now, like, where, you know, to be overly honest, I'm not enjoying it as much as I was.
The riding part?
Yeah, but then I go ride a show, and I see these people all fired up and these kids fired up, and it completely regrounds me. So it's hard. Right now, what's keeping me sane and keeping me alive, it truly is my family. I just scored so huge with my wife. She's amazing. We take such good care of each other, and so I'm really focused on all of that. But the transition is still something that I'm figuring out right now. You know, I could give you the easy answer and be like, well, that's why I'm building my businesses and that's why I'm doing all that. But at the end of the day, it scares the shit out of me. You know, because from 19 till now, all I've done is ride. That's all I know. That's all I've wanted to do. I just started making a couple bucks so that I could build a piece of shit drift car. And now I'm obsessed with that, but there's no money in that. That's just thousands a weekend down the drain. And
just
then
for fun.
Yeah, and then you get back to the shop Monday and you're like, fuck, like, truck's beat up. I got no money left. Time to put in some work. So the transition isn't something that I have a good answer for yet. It scares the daylights out of me. It really does. It's something that I'm trying really hard to figure out right now, and I don't know if I ever will. But I've gotten back on the dirt bike a lot since my ankle injury, and that's been really good for me.
Can I give you some advice?
Please.
Because it was a hard transition for me because I was heavy into stunt riding, like daily. practicing every day, and then I got pregnant and it just like all went away. And it took detaching myself from the fact that stunt riding is all about me and what it does for me and myself and my family and everything about me, to now giving back. So if you find a way to merge your passion and your skills with providing a service and help to others, that's where I think you'll find ultimate fulfillment and happiness.
I can see that, and I agree. I agree.
But I think you're almost there. You're like right there with the senders only. You have something there, and you're bringing people together at your shop, and you're doing something. Like maybe there's something there where you teach, or like you provide help with. You're really good at marketing. You learn marketing business. What if you provided some sort of service to teach these people how to be that stunt rider that they need to be? Like, because like I said, there's a lot of people that are amazing and really good stunt riders, but they're stuck. They don't know how to make money off of this. Who in the right mind besides me, maybe me and you, are super rare, would actually go research how to market yourself,
right,
or how to make money, or how to do all these. No one in the world, unless they're listening to this fucking podcast, would they even fall upon that information. So maybe you're the funnel.
Yeah,
because you're good at talking about it and you know a lot about the industry, and maybe that's what this industry needs to take it to the next pro level, because we are stuck. The stunt scene, the Harley stunt scene, is stuck in this like hooligan, like fucking shithead vibes, in my opinion.
Right.
And it needs to be to the next level somehow.
Yeah, but what does that next level look like? Like the competitions have already kind of fizzled down to the best they're ever. Like the competitions are never going to be what they were a couple of years ago, because the riding was all time. Now the competitions are the up and comers, and it's cool, but like respectfully, I'm not going out there anymore and competing against dudes that are still trying to learn how to hand drag and stuff like that. It's unsafe. It got me hurt. So it's for me, before I say I am so down to help the next kid come up, what are they coming up into? Like I totally feel that we're at this like turning point where it's like, are we party guys or is this a sport? But at the end of the day, it's like, what does it look like? Because if that's the route, like the influencers are going to have it made, because anyone with 100,000+ followers can go buy a Harley, whether they know how to stunt ride or not, and then they're going to get way more views. I completely agree. I love helping people. I want to move on to my next stage. But where is this all going? You know what I mean? Yeah. Now we have drifter cross, and like I've openly said, a drift competition with a lap time just doesn't make sense to me. I hope as it goes on, it does. I have a lot of respect for what Sly Fox is doing for the stunt community. I think it's rad. I think we need more things like that. But at the end of the day, how does a timed competition with drifting, it doesn't make sense to me. So it's like we need more things to pop up like that for our sport to go there. But then like I'm done competing.
Yeah.
Like I'll judge the brawls. I will show love to the brawls because I owe them so much of my career. You know, a lot of the times I was getting paid to go be at the brawls by my sponsors. Like, hey, this is where we want you. But I'm like this place where it's like, yo, where is this even going?
So what you're saying is, where is this scene going? Like, how much more professional can it get?
Basically, yes, because you know the videos are all illegal. Like all the content that goes viral is all on public roadways. You know, so the more and bigger I get into a business side, the more I'm seeing like shit.
Yeah.
Like
how cringe it is.
This shit's just like, and I don't know if that will ever change, because it's not like skateboarding where it was illegal because they were doing it at middle schools and then we could just make skate parks.
Yeah.
And it's not like BMX riding where it was like all the dirt jumps are built on illegal land. They just keep getting plowed. Now they have legal dirt jump spots. Like, what are we going to do? Make a giant open, and I get it. It's a cool idea, but like a giant open asphalt parking lot is just going to fucking wreak chaos, bro. And the party kids are still going to show up, you know, and I'm learning a lot like through drifting now. Like I don't quite, I'm in this weird pause, which is dangerous for me to say because I you know, I get paid to do what I do, but I've talked to the sponsors about it. I'm like, yo, where is this really headed? Like, what because I want to know what their goal is with working with me, and like these next riders, because I help them decide what riders need to come on and what riders need to go off. What am I looking for? Do you guys just want crazy social reach, or do you want the next kid that's going to go win all the brawls? Like, what do you guys actually want?
What they say.
Some want the dudes that are going to go get the competition and keep it classy and something like that. And other companies love the party shit.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
you know what I got? What my answers were from companies? Family. They love that Bruce and I include our family.
Yeah, and it's rad. It's
but
new.
I think that those type of companies find those type of people. You know, those type of people might cling on to Bruce and I, and then the other type of people might cling on to the party dudes. And, you know, so you got to kind of find the company that sticks with, that wants what you have.
100%. And then that circles down to a whole hard conversation on these people of like, do you actually know what you want? So do you know what companies to look for that are going to support your wants, or are you just looking for a company to say here? And that's rough. Like, that's rough. Like, I try to stay really uppity on what Legend likes to see. And, you know, now we're working with Pro One Performance, and I fucking love WHEELIE. The dude that runs that company is badass. And so I'm like, yo, what do you want to see? And most of the answers for us are just, yo, make sure you're pushing the product through your shop. And, you know, I'm okay admitting that a lot of my relationships have continued because I've started selling their stuff. But that was really always my plan from 19, 20 years old on. I was like, I'm going to slang Legends harder than anyone's ever, you know, sold Legends by the time I'm 30. So it just circles back. Like, you really got to be confident on what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to end up riding for brands. Like, that's why I'm not with Lucky Dave anymore. Like, we just didn't. What he wanted out of his riders and what I wanted to do with riding just wasn't the same thing. So you got to know when to pack your bags and get out.
And it might be hard.
Oh, it's the worst. You know, especially when like friendships have become because of it and relationships have become of it. It gets so clouded and rocky. But yeah, that's all like personal stuff. You know what I mean? With like rider to rider that they have to hone in on. The fact that you have companies behind you that love family, and you're, you know, an amazing mom, that's perfect. Because
it aligns.
It's natural.
I don't have to fake it.
Yeah, it's natural. It's organic. It's like, this is what we're actually doing type shit, you know?
Yeah, totally.
No, you're good.
This is fucking fire conversation though. I love this type of shit.
Yeah, I'm big on business right now, so I enjoy talking about the next steps and stuff like that.
I love it too. So tell me a little bit about Senders Only and like what direction you plan on going with that. It's you and Foley, right?
Yeah, Foley and I are the owners. Right now we're big on, you know, we hopped on doing the giveaways, which has been huge for our clothing. You know, we built a nasty bike. Every X amount of dollars is an entry. So that's where I've been engulfed in. It's just, you know, I touch every order, getting everything out. I'm not at a place where I'm comfortable hiring someone to do all that yet. I still want to make sure it's going well. But realistically, I do need to hire somebody to do all the packaging and stuff like that now. Our biggest thing, and I don't want to blow us out too heavily, is dude, we love drift trucks. Like, I'm so hooked on the drift truck stuff. So I'm trying really hard to not just leave everything behind, because I wouldn't be where I'm at without the Harley stuff. But it's also very easy for me to be like, dude, this shit is flooded.
Get distracted.
Yeah, and I want to get out of the way for the next generation. I really do. I don't want to be at the brawls anymore winning because of, you know, or getting top fives just because I've been around for so long. I want to be there, and I want to watch this next generation. This kid's doing this, or that kid's doing that. And like, I remember all that. And I'm a 5-trick pony. Like, I'm good. Like, my circle wheelies, my hand drags, and my throttle hand drags have gotten me this far. I'm honed in on them. I enjoy doing them. I want to perform. I want to put on a show. I want to go somewhere and see some kid on the fence just eyes beaming like, holy shit, I'm going to do this when I'm older. That's the shit that fires me up. I don't get some like high out of beating my friends anymore like I used to. I used to be very competitive. So Senders Only is just going to very slowly become just another supporting brand of the scene.
I love that. So do you guys have any sponsored riders right now?
Yes and no. We were sponsoring Cole Denny super heavily for a while on the dirt bikes. But it's just expensive. Straight up, I'll just put it out there. Like, sponsoring people is not what you think. It's hard. I'm very big on, we're still at a very growing spot in our company where I can't afford to put somebody on that's not going to at least bring me back what I'm putting into them type shit. And Cole did that. Cole was very good at that, but it was still really hard, like every few months just shelling out the $3,000, the $2,500, whatever it was that he needed. I couldn't afford it straight up. So we take care of I take care of some people. I try to, at least, but no, we're not paying anybody yet monthly, and that's kind of where I'd like to see our brand go, is being able to afford to change some kid's life and give them a couple grand a month here and there, like we all got back in the day. But right now I'm just trying to hone in and grow what we're already doing.
So this is about the stage of business that you would say is a good time to start building relationships with that company, where you believe in that company, you're cool with them, you actually like hanging out with them because it is a relationship, and possibly see yourself growing with the company as a stunt rider. So maybe you're not the best stunt rider yet. Maybe your following hasn't gotten there yet, but now's the time to latch onto a business such as Senders Only.
100%.
Push their shit as hard as you can for free product, no money, or even a discount, and then show them what you can do, build that strong foundation and roots. And then when you are a multi-million-dollar company, you have the money to pay. And then there they are.
Exactly.
You've been with them for years.
Yeah, exactly. If someone were to come on board right now and start, I'm very big on whoever makes me money definitely gets a big piece of it. Like all the way down to certain reps have gotten me paid for companies that they work with, and I take a big chunk out of what they got me and give it right back to them. So you have to, before you're going to ask somebody to pay you, you really have to go into play like, can you make them money? Because like I said earlier, like no one's getting paid to be the cool guy anymore. And if they are, they actually are the cool guy. Yeah. Gabe and Jeff and all those guys that are getting paid for their social, they've been working on that social since their late teens. And we're all coming up on 30 now. So 10 years of just grit and like determination, they deserve those checks because they are the cool guys. 100%. And it's hard, a lot of these kids like Sammy and TJ, like the shit they're doing is fucking insane. It's fucking insane, so they have the opportunity as well to really, if they continue to post content like that will just continuously go viral, putting his foot over the handlebars and then doing a hand drag. Like the people that don't wheelie see that shit and it just looks impossible. Wheelies are very saturated now, so when you see someone just doing a sit-down wheelie, everyone's like, if I tried hard enough, I could do it. Yeah. And those people drive me nuts. I'm not justifying that. I hate when someone says shit like that to me. They're like, oh, if I just tried, I'd probably be as good as you. Like, all right, bud.
Then do it.
Yeah, exactly. But like kids like Sammy and TJ, they do have the opportunity to continuously post that insane content, and companies will hop on board just because everything they post. We're the new magazine ad, right? That's what Instagram is. Instead of people paying to be in a paper magazine, they're paying these kids to get all the reach that they used to get out of like yellow books and magazines and shit like that. So those kind of dudes, they have the potential. And like Paulie's fucking nuts. Like those are the kids that are going to get paid just off their content. And we need them. Like that's badass.
But see, what I see about those guys is they don't know how to create a larger reach and how to build their following, and they're posting content and it's sick. But how do you take it to the next level?
Same thing. They got to find those people, and it'll come, right? Like Sammy and TJ, and Paulie's been doing it forever, and he's with a lot of really good dudes that are looking after him, so he'll fall right into play with those sponsors and hopefully be getting paid and taken care of by those sponsors. But Sammy's going to continuously post stuff that's going to blow up, and eventually someone's going to be like, yo, and they're going to grab onto him, and they're hopefully going to grow and learn together, just like I did with Legends and, Bell Helmets was like our first real pro contract, and they taught me so much, even without paying me. They were like, yo, do this, yo, do that. And Sammy needs to just latch onto the right company that's willing to teach him while they grow. You know what I mean?
Well, are you sure that they taught you, or were you actually actively asking them questions and wanting to know?
I'd say it went both ways. Gary for sure taught me. Gary for sure was like the one that put me on game. I would say after like the first 2 years, I definitely started realizing like how to like methodically, like just wording is very important in your emails, and it needs to be casual. It needs to be like, hey, this is like, I'm cool without it. I'm cool with it. Like, could we do this type shit? But my hope is for someone like Sammy that will continuously go viral like that the right person will grab onto him and not take advantage of his skills, and or maybe they will, and but that's part of learning.
Yeah,
right.
It totally is.
Because I've been taken advantage of by some companies,
we all have,
and made them so much money for what? Just for them to be like, oh, I'm broke, I can't pay you. It's like, well, fuck, dude.
Or one part a year.
Yeah,
or
and
something crazy.
So it's rough, but like we talked about earlier, it's very situational. We are all on the same like high, but much different paths, and we all have such different brains, bro. Like,
yeah,
we all see, like, you can show the same thing to 10 different people, and they're all going to give you a different analogy on it, right? So,
well, what's crazy? Thinking from a business aspect, like if I were to be sponsoring a stunt rider, I would way rather sponsor someone like you and I that has a business mindset versus someone that doesn't understand business.
Well, and that's why we're at where we're at. But certain companies want to work with the people that don't want to, like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, this guy's easy. And they'll take advantage of him and just leave it there.
I see that.
And I, like you said earlier, I'm not trying to bash on anybody, but like certain companies that I used to work with would rather just keep it casual. And casual is not where people like you and I fall. Like, as much as you want to keep the email feeling casual and you want to make the relationship feel very organic, like if you're not willing to talk about the 5-year plan and you want to just talk about what we're doing right now, like, I'm out. Like, I'm out. I'm not asking you to commit to anything.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to tell me like your goals, what you see out of me, where you think this could actually go. Because if we're not thinking about how big this could potentially get, I got to go find somebody that will talk to me about that kind of stuff. Because I'm an overthinker. And sometimes I just need like a pat on the back and like a, don't worry, bud, we'll get there. And like, that's what Foley's been so good for me. Is
balance each other.
Bro, I'll be going a million miles an hour, like trying to figure it out. And he's like, dude, why don't we just focus on what we have? And I'm like, amazing. Like, that's what we need to do,
Totally. That's what Bruce does for me. Like, grounds me a little bit and says, slow down. We're good.
Yeah. It doesn't need to happen overnight.
Totally. I wanted to get to some of the audience's questions.
Okay.
So let me pull it up real quick. Okay. Trick bike Trent.
Oh, here we go.
No, that's a good one though. What's the best way to reach out and get shows booked outside of your hometown?
Relationships. That's a hard one for me because I've been really blessed in that category. It started for me with the Ives brothers and stuff like that. But my advice directly to Trent would be through his YouTube to put out a video, like letting people know, like, hey, we really appreciate all your guys' support and we would really love to come ride for you in person. So if you could go into your local dealers and get me in contact with, like, their events person, cruise, like directly to the Cruisy guys, they have a lot of reach through YouTube. So
Huge.
they could find shows all over the country if they were willing to put it out there that they would like to come ride for their fans, and then kind of put it into their fans' hands. Like, hey, help us get in touch with your local
dealership. Yeah,
whatever it is. Even if it's a power sports dealer. A lot of these Harley guys need to realize that power sports dealers sell a lot of used Harleys. So,
that's good.
You don't have to only hit up the Harley dealers. And then finding event coordinators that like motorcycles is a big deal. Because otherwise, having us at events is just a headache. It's loud. The insurance is really expensive. Realistically, we need 200 feet by 60 feet of just empty. And that's a big ask.
Flat.
Yeah. And that's a big ask of an event. Like, hey, I know you're throwing this event with multiple thousand people. Will you leave this 120-yard
empty for me?
Yeah, please. And we're only going to ride 15 minutes 3 times a day. So it's a hard sale. It has to be for people that love what we do.
You know what's been a game changer for me for getting outside event shows booked is putting that I'm for hire in my bio on my Instagram.
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
A lot of people think that you just do this for fun. You don't realize that you're available to be hired for a show.
Right.
And then your location's good to have on there too, because then they know you're local to Arizona and it's even easier to book you or cheaper.
100%. And have the insurance ready. Like you got to be ready to go. You know what I mean? You can't
don't quote them until you ask if they need insurance first.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And then just make sure you have all your P's and Q's in order. You aren't going to go ask somebody if you can mow their lawn if you don't have a fucking lawnmower yet. You know what I mean? Like you
Totally.
really got to be ready to go.
Yeah, that's so good. What motivates you every day, Joey, from evil sins?
My people who I've surrounded myself with. I don't get to have bad days. Like I can't let them down straight up. So as sappy and corny as that sounds, if I'm having a rough morning or a rough go, I just don't allow it. Like I just can't. And that's because if I don't show up correct, we all match each other's energy. So if I pull up to the shop in a shit mood, they're going to get into a shit mood. Or if they pull up in a shit mood, I'm going to get into a shit mood. So it's really my people and then my wife. She's amazing with remembering where I came from and where I'm headed and what I want to do. So
she's super supportive.
Yeah, who I've surrounded myself with, it keeps me from having bad days.
Are you guys going to have kids soon?
I don't know if it's going to be soon, but it's if it happens soon, we'll be stoked. You know what I mean? We still have a lot to conquer and a lot of goals to do, but whether it's soon or in the next few years, it will be just equally as stoked. So it's not like a need now situation, but we'll be happy either way.
I'll be excited about that.
Thank you. I will be very stoked. I want a little one. I really do. But
it changes your perspective on life. Okay, so Trevor Van Ness has a question for you. How do you pick up so much speed doing circles and then bring it back slow?
Clutch and just pure commitment. The first year of doing it, it just felt like I was going to crash over and over and over, and you are going to crash over and over and over. But the biggest thing about circle wheelies is people don't process is like momentum is your friend, even though it feels terrifying. Like you start spinning like a top. But the more that you can get comfortable with being in an uncomfortable position in the circle wheelies, the easier they're going to get. Raise your idle just a little bit and just fry your clutch. Just a lot of clutch work.
What do you mean fry?
Like you should just be there the whole entire time. A lot of the time I'll already have the clutch pulled halfway in before I even dive in.
Is that how you control your speed? You go faster by letting it off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so are you using any gas?
Yeah, to correct
Flip it around.
Yeah, but the gas isn't as responsive as it would normally be because my clutch is halfway in. So I'm
but you have the idle too.
Just a little bit. I struggle when the idle's super high up because I end up just too much on the brake.
Brake.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just too much brake. But it all really, for me, like my technique, it falls into the clutch because now the clutch has tempered my gas a little bit, and it's given me that opportunity of when it really slows down, I can just it'll just kind of like speed me up a little bit, and I'll let it out. And then as you get better at them, going tighter creates a much faster momentum. But circle wheelies momentum really is your friend, and you have to just manhandle it and keep it in. The Harleys just want to spin you off the whole time, and you really have to just continuously force it to stay on that sidewall.
Or else you'll high side. Yeah,
it'll literally it turns into a top and it just sticks, and you just, you got to get really good at crashing to do circle wheelies. I bent my frame. I destroyed my bike learning circle wheelies.
Did you know how to circle wheelie before the Harleys?
No, but once I got on the Harleys, I hopped onto the minis. So in theory, yes. But the first thing I ever tried to circle was my pit bike and shit like that. You definitely want to be doing feet up circles, 10 circles every try on a Grom.
Before you...
Yeah, 100%.
Did you learn feet up circles on the Harley, or did you start with your foot down?
Started with my foot down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 2015, I started doing circles on the bolt with my foot down. And then I don't know if
good or bad idea.
I don't know. Nowadays I tell people not to, because when I went to learn with my foot on, it was like a whole new fucking trick.
Yeah.
So if you've got the patience, just keep your foot up. But I still do them, like when I go into shows and shit, I still do them with my foot down so that I have like full control. Mm-hmm. Like if I want to like stop at the crowd and do a 180, 100% my foot's down. You know, and that's one big thing people need to look at is like, are you judging yourself from a stunt rider's perspective, or are you judging yourself from like an average Joe perspective? Because when you go do a show, they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
They want spark and smoke. Agreed. So if you can create spark and smoke very controlled, you can ride a show. So, yeah, learn them with your foot down. You know.
I have a question for you. So, you know, we were kind of talking about like where would this, like what else can this sport do? Have you ever looked at the street bike scene and seen the difference between the Harley and the street bike scene, and seen that there actually is something that we can do in the Harley scene that's holding us back? And notice what that is. I haven't the answer in my head.
I don't know. Not really. I feel like the street bike stuff, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this answer.
Go ahead.
Just became a pissing contest. And that's one thing it was just like, who could do this? Who could do that? I'm doing stoppies longer than you. I'm doing limiter coasters longer than you. My circles are tighter. My street by
But I think that's within our small world.
Right.
No one else knows about that stuff. But to me, okay, so for instance, if you envision the street bike scene and you see Jason Britton pulling up to the stunt spot, and then who else is around them, what sets Jason Britton apart from the other stunt riders?
Factory Cowie and Monster and his $100,000 van and his fucking like, honest to God, his attitude. He's just so fucking rad. Like, it doesn't matter like if you're the homeless guy stuck at the lot or you're the other guy with the $100,000 van, like he's gonna be equally as cool to both. So
what I'm saying, what I think needs to change in the stunt scene is having more people like a Jason Britton, and I see this in you, and possibly hopefully in me as well, is bringing others up professionally. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, like shoot those people a DM that you were thinking about DMing and worried that you might offend them if you gave them advice. Maybe they need to hear that from you, and maybe they look up to you big time and they would love to hear that from you.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, and if they take it offensively, then they aren't ready to hear it, but later they will remember that message and be like, he was fucking right.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Selfishly, I try to stay clear. You know,
well,
but
you're worried you might offend them.
I just don't do well with drama, and so I've like just stayed clear. But you're right. You know, there's a lot of people that I can help. A lot more people I can help. So I see where you're coming from with that. I agree. And Jason Britton's an awesome example, because that dude's just the man. He's always just been so fucking cool to me. He's always just like...
Yeah, and he rides, and that's what... The reason why I bring him up is because when I came back from retirement, I had a hard time coming back to the lot, and I'm not trying to say I felt like I was better than anyone, but I'm just mentally somewhere else. Mm-hmm. My mind has elevated from... I'm way more business minded. I'm a mother now. Like, I'm not really like going to be at the stunt spot every night until 10 p.m. anymore.
Right.
So my mind's different. And Bruce said to me something that kind of like was profound at the moment. He said, what do you think Jason Britton does when he shows up to the lot? Do you think he cracks a beer with them?
Right.
No, he comes, he pulls out his bike make sure his brakes are bled, wipes down his bike. He presents himself very professionally, but he doesn't ignore anyone. He doesn't act like he's better than anyone.
Right.
He rides his ride and loads up and goes home. He doesn't party with them, but everyone elevates themselves to his standards, not the other way around.
Right.
You know? So maybe that's our role as OGs to set that new standard where we show up to the spot with clean bikes, not hating on people that have beaters, but maybe that's
Just showing them what it could be.
Yeah,
I
like this
agree
is
with
where
that.
you want to be, dude. And you want to make sure your bike's safe. Bleeding your brakes, wiping down your bike, checking your PSI, doing whatever, Just showing a role model version of yourself, versus just like, yeah, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we need to set the standards a little bit higher for the stunt scene,
That's fair.
and
I
maybe
can see
it
that.
takes people like us to do that,
Yeah, I agree. That's
to elevate the sport.
That's definitely why I built my bike the way it was. I wanted people to realize, like, just their stunt bikes, so we can have
Clean ones.
Yeah, they could be sick as fuck. So, and it takes years, because they're learning. So you got to destroy your shit first.
Totally.
And then do a frame up build. I can see that. I agree with you.
But I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, let's make it happen and try to like bring up the sport somehow, because I think there's definitely wiggle room.
Oh, there's huge leaps and bounds that can be said, and I'll blow myself out and let people know, like, I'm working on commercial sponsors. Like, I want these huge corporate companies to get behind us, and then that's what's really gonna set us over. Whether it be a Budweiser or someone like that. Like, we need these huge corporate companies behind us.
I think so too. I just don't know when they'll crack.
I
don't even know if they know about us.
It's up to their lawyers. At the end of the day, that's what I always run into.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, I've had a couple huge corporate companies at our shop ready to sign paperwork, and then the lawyers get involved, and it's like, And that's a little bit why I'm leaning towards the drift truck stuff, because it's all closed course competition stuff. So I'm going to see what I can do with that over the next few years. But the Harley stuff is hard. That's when it circles back to why competitions are good, because we can get sponsored to go compete and shit like that. So I'm hoping that the competitions turn another page and become, bigger than they've already become.
Well, that's the next thing that I was going to mention, not to open any sore wounds about the handbrake versus footbrake thing, is as long as we need a 200 by 100 square foot spot to ride at, we won't be able to do shows for anyone. And I think getting a handbrake on, you can do more things with it in a smaller space. And I just think that is really holding back the scene.
I just don't view it as a versus thing. For me, I have so much respect for the handbrake stuff. Getting on Poland's bike definitely enabled me to do better circles on my bike, because I realized how tall it needed to be, and I didn't realize that until I got on a handbrake bike.
That's good insight.
Yeah, I'm kind of guilty by association. I try to take lead on a lot of things, but I've fallen into the group where, like, no handbrakes. So I won't put one on my personal bike, strictly for one reason, and that's just, it's not what I'm known for. And I've been able to build my career off what I have.
It's not your style.
Right, but I'll never be one that's like, they're stupid, they're not needed. Because at the end of the day, if anyone wants to fucking go tit for tat, no one can touch Rob. Like, the shit that Rob does on a Harley that's a sport. If we really want to get down to, like, creating dude, he's a gymnast.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, that dude's a gymnast. Like, my body can't do that shit anymore thanks to motocross. But, like, I have zero animosity towards it. People thinking that, like, that's what's holding us back, because maybe it is. Maybe that is what's holding us back. Like, I'm not against that thought process at all.
Well, because if you can think about it too, in the street bike scene, who are the professionals that are getting paid? They're lot riders with handbrakes. Right,
and Britain gets to go ride supercrosses because he can do it in a 50 by 60 foot spot.
Exactly.
And I completely agree. I'm not saying that it is holding us back, but I'm not saying that it isn't. Yeah. I'm like in this very mutual ground. But I also made sure that before I started ever talking about handbrakes, that I know how to use one.
I love that.
And so that's like one thing that these kids could really educate themselves on, is that if, like, you're hating on a handbrake and you can't circle a bike with a handbrake on it, your opinion doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Not to sound like an asshole, but, like, fuck, dude.
You haven't
like,
tried it yet.
You don't even know how to use one. And, like, I'm not saying Groms don't count. I'm not going down that whole stunt news, Groms don't count shit. But, like, a Grom on a handbrake on a Grom is completely different than hopping on a Dyna with a handbrake, And, like, I love reading fucking Nick's shit from the Bay. It's so entertaining. Like, I'm here for it. Like, I love it. I think it's funny as hell. But I don't feel that it should be a versus thing.
I wish it wasn't.
No, but it has become that. I get it. But I just think that there should be this rule that rolls out that, like, if you're going to hate on a handbrake, like, that you should be able to circle a Harley with a handbrake on it. Otherwise, how do you even know that you don't like it? I did it. I have the videos to prove it. It was badass. I got ridiculed by all my homies, so I fell into my place. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm not opposed to having one on a bike. I've told Foley for years, like, yo, dude, I'd love to build a beater super glide and put a handbrake on it. And he's like, cool, let's do it. And it's never fallen into place. But some of the most fun I've ever had was riding shows with Poland and him letting me loose on it and just sporty. And before I knew it, we're doing circles together. Like, it was fun.
That's sick. I'd love to see some footage of that.
It's a lot of fun. I'll send you the stuff. I sent that circle wheelie to Nick the other day on his Dyna at Bassani in like 2019. So it's fresh in my DMs. I'll send you it. Dude. I have nothing against them. A lot of people will hop on and be like, you know, handbrake this, handbrake that. They're just following the trend. And that's okay. A lot of things you do need to follow the trend, but they're not for me. I can confidently say that because it hurts. Like, my shoulder is so done and shit like that, and like I end up trying to do death spins, and I end up trying to do all this shit, and like yourself. Yeah, and like I can Ralph Louis a 636, like I can do a Ralph Louis circle. I took a lot of pride in that. I wanted to learn Ralph Louis circles. I can step over.
Which side do you do it?
On the inside. No way am I doing. What is that called? Switch.
A blindsided.
No way am I doing that. But like, I think it's badass. And when you watch people like Britton and Rob ride, the last thing you're gonna say is that handbrake's gay. Like, look at what the fuck they're doing. You know what I mean? So I get both sides. It's not my style, but you're never gonna hear me say fuck a handbrake. Like, it doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I love that. All right, dude. Well, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, that was a long one.
That was a long one. I forgot to start my timer. So
it was about 2 hours.
Was it?
Yeah.
Fuck, that was some fire content though.
No, I appreciate you having me. I think what you're doing is good for the scene. I'm super proud of you and Bruce.
Thank you.
Arizona needs more positivity in the stunt scene. You can quote me on that, and you guys are being positive. So
I'd love to see you come out more.
Yeah, I'll be here during the winter. I love coming out here, especially now that my truck's here. I'll be back here next weekend working on the truck and riding. So.
Oh yeah, let's ride.
All right.
All right, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.